Checklist item number 45. Do you know what to outsource to freelancers and how to outsource to freelancers? This is critical. There are things that will take a lot of work, a lot of time, but they're not strategic. If it's administrative, repeatable, one time, outsource it. What's an example of that? Well, we needed to research all the founders in Australia. And so I went on Fiverr. Or I shouldn't say I went on Fiverr. One of my team members went to Fiverr. We hired 2 different people. We said, hey, here's a database. Make us a database. Read the news in Australia. Do Google searches for startup founders. Use Crunchbase. Use PitchBook. Use anything you can. Find us all the accelerators. Look on their portfolio page. Find us on Twitter, every Australian startup. Put them into this database. Try to guess the person's email. Confirm the email. Because we want to invite them to come to Launch Festival Australia. And man, we started on third base. I could have had my internal people do it, but I wanted them picking the speakers, finding a location, and doing the marketing. Now, you might be able to hire a freelancer to find locations. You might be able to crowdsource that. Sales, building product, probably not a good idea. Product customers team, right? That's what I talk about with this flywheel. Product customers team. Don't outsource. Recruiting, customers, and product. Anything in there is kind of the secret sauce, right? Those are the 3 legs of your stool. You rip off customers, you rip off product, you rip off team, the stool falls over. If you have an outsourced product team building, they're not full-time, they're not dedicated to you, they work on a project basis, that might be fine for building your MVP, but honestly, it's a major red flag, like 10 red flags if you can't build the product in-house. Because every investor knows we give you $250K, you give it to your outsourced development firm, and then development stops. Okay, give you $500K, give it to your outsourced development firm. You got to have that in-house. Same thing with customers. If you're not talking to your customers and somebody else is selling them, you've abstracted that layer. That's why all those rep firms that called in the early days of This Week in Startups and said, hey, can we sell your ads? I said, no, I want to have a sales team. I want to know who the advertisers are on the podcast. I want to meet the advertisers myself. I actually do onboarding calls with each advertiser, which is kind of intense given how many we have now, but I still try to do at least an onboarding call with them so they know me. I can let them know I appreciate them. I can hear from them what their goals are, and it just increases renewal. So even I take this hard medicine of really getting to know the customers, even though it's time consuming. And let's face it, a lot of other podcasters think they're above it. Like I don't think every podcaster of note or of my stature is getting on calls with advertisers. I still do it. And I'm going to try to keep doing. Team, same thing. No offense to headhunters. Please don't start emailing me. But, if you're outsourcing headhunting, it means you don't have a great culture. It means you don't have a company that people want to work for. It means your mission is not good. And you're probably going to get people who are not great hires. You need to have that muscle internally. Work that muscle internally, get good at it. Product, customers, team, in-house it, everything else outside. HR tools, Gusto, amazing. They just get everything done for you. These PEOs, etc. Rippling, Zenefits, all these places are great at that. Outsourced accounting, tons of places to do that for you. And, with outsourced services, people look at that as efficiency. You don't need to rack your own service. You don't need to build your own HR department. Until you hit, massive scale. And even then, HR you want to bring in-house, probably 50, 100 people is what I hear from most founders. And building your own server farm, unless there's some super compelling reason to do it, you're probably not going to be able to compete with Google Cloud or Azure or everybody else trying to lower the costs of doing that. Okay. Item number 46 on our checklist. How much do you pay early employees? Do you know how to manage your bankroll and not have to pay a fortune? You are going to be unable, if you're a seed-funded company, to compete against Google and Facebook. You should not try. When you're interviewing somebody and they say, hey, I have a Google deal. Hey, this is my LinkedIn deal. Here's my Microsoft deal. You just have to say to them, we can't compete with that. If you're going for max money, you should go work there. If you're going for max impact, you should work here. And immediately sort them out of your process. Immediately. I literally had a founder say, hey, this person's got a competing deal with Google. How do we compete? I said, you don't. You don't. If that person wants max money, just tell them this is not max money. You're going to make half as much cash comp, and you're going to get, the chance of getting the lottery ticket at options of a company that's currently valued at 10 or $20 million or 50 million or 100 million. If you want to go work on making, billions of people click on Facebook ads 0.001% time, go ahead. If you want to change the world, please do that here. That's the difference. Do not try to compete against those. Now, you want to do the best you can. And so what you could say is, listen, we are seed funded. We've raised $1 million. We know as a developer, you can get 200, 250 working at that company. We can offer you 150 or 125. You're a salesperson. You can make 150 working at Twilio for your base salary and then get 2% of sales to get you to 250K. I can pay you 75K, but I'll give you 10% of sales for the first year and we'll see in year 2. So, 10% on 500K or $1 million would be 50 to 100K. You get to 125, but we want you to give you stock options and you can grow from that. So I think you have to be creative. And then when you get funded with more money, you can go back and remember those conversations and give people raises. And you can be much more aggressive in your raises when you start raising more money. If people are going for max money, you just have to accept in the startup world that you will not be able to compete. Period. End of story. And don't try to. You can always also look for, if this person's a VP of sales and you can't get them to leave some SaaS company doing 100 million in revenue, who's 2 steps below that person? Is there a sales executive who wants to be the sales manager? Is there a sales manager who wants to be your VP of sales? That's the way to do it. Is you take somebody who's the 6th, 7th, 8th player on the basketball team, but not in the starting 5, and you say, we believe you should be a starter. On our team, you'll be a starter. So sometimes in the NBA, they'll say, hey, this person is going to go to this team to chase a ring or to be on a team with a winning record. Oh, this person is going to go to a team because they want to be the man and have the ball in their hands and be starting and playing 40 minutes. So they're picking the team not based on how much they can get paid, all things being equal. They're picking it based on the role. That's what you're looking to do, is find people who want to be the man, or that's in the case of the NBA, or the woman in the case of the WNBA, who want to shoot their shot, right? And who want to get more minutes on the court. And that's what you're selling. And if people are mercenaries and they want to go for money, just cut them off immediately. We can't compete with Google. Our offer is going to be on a cash compensation basis far below Google. And then stop talking and see what they say. And they say, oh, well, I need to make max cash. Can you match them? And you say, there is no way we can match them. Period. End of story. Okay, SOC 2